This is the interview I have been waiting for all week, and it's perfect on a Friday, powerful week, but we get to end it with one of the most amazing leaders and entrepreneurs that I have met in my career. And I am so proud to bring him to you guys today. This is Christan LeFer. He is founder and CEO of Instant Nonprofit, and we have incredible information to give you today. If you have ever thought about what it would take to start a nonprofit and felt that might be overwhelming or you can't do it, his company has started over 3,000 nonprofits for people. Think about the fingerprints of the difference that is making over and over and over again in lives. And we're going to get to the nuts and bolts of it and pick his brain a little bit. Christan, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you, Amy. I'm excited to be here.
I am really proud to share you. And I know there's a lot of people that always talk about giving back, or I'd love to have a nonprofit. And there's a lot we're going to talk about this a little bit. But first of all, what are some of the main obstacles that you hear when people think, I can't do it?
The main things that people have are what to focus on. They want to maybe help more than, do more than one thing with the nonprofit. And in that case, I always recommend simplifying, starting somewhere, putting a stake in the ground, moving to the next one. The other one is the bureaucracy and paperwork involved. And the third, I would say, would be fundraising. Where do I get the money?
Awesome. We're going to touch on all three of those a little bit, but first I want to back up and have everybody know a little bit about you, because you're in such a wonderful niche space that has such incredible power and is helping so many people. Tell the story. I've heard it, but I'm really proud for everybody to hear it. Tell the story of how this happened for you. What made you start such an amazing business?
Well, I got into nonprofits a number of years ago. I basically got hired for a job, and I was going to go out and fundraise for a nonprofit. And they gave me, they told me to get a suit and a briefcase. This is the 90s,
Right.
And they told me to get a suit and a briefcase and memorize a PowerPoint. And I remember that sounds like no problem. I'll do that. Well, memorizing a PowerPoint was really hard for me. I'm kind of a creative, not a, rote memorizer. So I almost got fired when I totally blew the practice pitch. But thankfully, my one-on-one sales skills kicked in, and I got a second chance. And I'm so thankful I did, because my first meeting, which was way out on a ranch in the middle of Wyoming, I was sort of like meeting Ma and Pa Kettle, they had thousands of head of cattle on a 100,000 or 80,000 acre ranch or something. And I remember being just stupefied that I would ask a complete stranger for $10,000. And so I gave the pitch, and I went through the PowerPoint, and then I did what they taught me. I gave the pitch. I asked for the $10,000, and then I absolutely just shut up. And I mean, it was hard. They checked some bank records. They looked in their checkbook. Husband and wife conferred together quietly. And I'm like, this is torture. A minute, 5 minutes seemed like 5 hours. But I almost drove into the ditch on the way out of that ranch, because in my pocket was a $10,000 check, every dime I had asked for. And I couldn't believe that somebody would do that when they really didn't get anything tangible in return other than my promise to put those funds to use for the cause we shared. So that was life-changing.
That is incredible. So how did this start something for you where you're like, okay, this awakened something in you? Take us to that next step of what happened.
Yeah, a few years later, I was still working in the nonprofit world, and some friends and I decided to start a 501c3. And I said, well, why don't you do, some of that program stuff and make some contacts and do whatever needs to be done. I'll take the application part. I mean, how hard can that be, right? Famous.
Right. How hard can that be?
Yeah, how hard can that be? So I dialed in the application. And then I ended up calling the IRS and just saying okay, I got this application. How long is this going to take to approve? Let's get this going. I'm from New Jersey. It's what do we need to do to make this happen? And they said, I almost remember a sinister chuckle, but that's probably not how it really was. But it was oh yeah, this will take, the average wait is 8, 10, 12 months. So, don't worry, sit back. And I was immediately I thought of my sister. My little sister, when I was 8, my mom came to me and explained my little sister wasn't speaking at around 4 years old, almost 4, because she never was going to. While she appeared to be completely normal, she was developmentally disabled. And so I grew up around things like Special Olympics, where my sister would always get second place in track because she'd be in the lead, run over to the stands to high five all her fans, and then the other kid would blow by her. And then she'd get
that's so cute.
oh my gosh. So she taught me how to be a human, that kid. So,
I bet.
So I immediately, like, I remember being so outraged about this application process and the bureaucracy involved, because even to get to the point of submitting to the IRS, you've had to incorporate, you've had to do some other things. And I remember being just morally outraged that, you know, it shouldn't be hard to do good. And that's now the tagline on our website, because what I did was I cold called into the IRS, probably about 15, 20 extensions north and south of that phone number. I just changed the last couple of numbers, knowing that I'd probably get somebody in the IRS exempt organizations department. And somebody would pick up and I'd get a couple of questions asked, and then, you know, they'd have to go. I eventually got one agent who sat there and gave me all the answers I wanted. What makes an application a nightmare? What makes it really easy for you? And like, what would make your day as somebody sitting at a desk processing these things? What would the perfect file look like? And I curated what I called and still call a love letter to a bureaucrat. And I volunteered for a second organization. I used that for the first organization, and I got like a 45-day approval, 60-day approval.
Wow.
And then another organization I found in town needed help. And so there was a billionaire who had just sold his company for over $1 billion to Oracle. And he would match any dollars that this little private school could in rural Montana, this little private school that was opening. They said, well, if we can get kids registered by fall, we can get matches for these donations. But we only have a matter of, you know, several weeks. And so I said, I'll take that challenge. And we got like a 35 day approval. So I knew I kind of went from blogger to businessman at that point. I knew I had something that could really help a lot of people.
You had something powerful, because this wasn't just, oh, I'm helping somebody set up yard sales. Like, you're helping people to have the nonprofit, to do what they've always dreamed of doing. I mean, think about how many people, if they thought it's going to take 12 months or a year and a half or whatever they've quoted, how many people give up along the way? I mean, Think about the amount of people that say, I can't do it, it's not worth it, this is too hard, and go back to just doing what they're doing. I mean, that's tragic to think about the loss there that probably still takes place over and over and over again.
Right. And this is something that has multiple complex steps that can trip someone up at any point. I mean, I can barely get a check in the mail anymore, because it's like, where's the stamp? Where's the envelope? So how many letters to grandma, right, or somebody that you care about, don't get written because there's just a little bureaucratic type of obstacle in place. So you're exactly right. Many people have given up, and many of our customers now at instantnonprofit.com, many of our customers say literally, like, I had just about given up, and then I Googled one more time and found you online, and thank God, because, you know, you've helped me actualize my dream. And that is what gets all of us on our team out of bed in the morning. We have an incredible team.
You really do have an incredible team. For everyone who doesn't know, I was led to Christian a couple years back to set up my nonprofit. There's no way I would have done it on my own. I would have quit. I would have been one of those that looked at it and said, this is too much. I don't have the patience. I'm not going to be able to handle the paperwork. And they did an absolute outstanding job. And I know the company has grown even so much more than when you even set up my nonprofit, Voice for Heroes. Let's dive a little bit deeper. I know you've got some really incredible ways that you describe all of this, especially, you know, getting into your quantum theory, right? I'd love for you to share some of this and what you explain to people on how powerful this is.
Absolutely. Happy to share that. So at the basic level, right, we're talking about paperwork and all the typical things that people associate with, you know, the difficulty involved in starting a nonprofit. But there are some things about it that started me thinking about how truly different a business entity type this is. And it's a business, a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. It's just that you're not spitting out widgets, you're improving some conditions in the world, right? And so that's what people are essentially, your customers, your donors are buying this like better world. But I was thinking about how, aside from the paperwork and all the things that it's a given, like we have a great reputation for doing that stuff and just taking all that burden away so you can focus on your mission. But what are the other things that come with having a company, a business, an entity, whatever you want to call it? A nonprofit elevates you into a complete other dimension. And the reason is the intention, right? The cause that you have really puts it into a special class of organization. And I've been reading about quantum theory, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and there's a concept called superposition. And the easiest way to explain superposition is things existing in multiple states at the same time. And it might not be the perfect example, but like a light photon, right? A photon, which is what makes light, is particle. It acts like a particle, but it also acts like a wave. And this has fascinated scientists. And there's also theories where electrons don't really spin around an atom. They sort of pop in and out of existence between particle and wave. And there's this theory where these things can exist in multiple states. And I started understanding how that is the same thing. It applies to a nonprofit because there are so many ways that you can not only grow, but you can completely pop into another dimension through a nonprofit in a number of different ways. And so I call it the quantum entity now. And people have really latched onto that concept because it can take, if you're in business and you have a world that you live in, starting a nonprofit alongside of that business can just elevate you and catapult you to completely different domains. It's incredible.
I think business leaders and entrepreneurs are probably not even aware of how much that this space can help support their business and all their efforts, tax reasons, everything. Dive that a little bit on where you see so much missed opportunity with people not realizing that they can add this and do this and have it be such a beautiful benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. The main three ways that I like to look at superposition are there's the network that you're in, right? There's the circle of people that you associate with. And so people are used to going to business events, for example, networking events. And so you're going to maybe meet someone in a similar industry or maybe a different industry, but it's like, hi, this is what I do, etc. And there's a connection there and people connect as individuals. But when you apply the concept of superposition and you go to a nonprofit event and you are surrounded by people who are in philanthropy, who are in actualizing a different world, you're really encountering some powerful, amazing people that maybe don't exist in your current business circles and that you would never meet at a business networking event. And you're able to connect with them on something where they don't have their guard up. They're not, like, are you trying to sell me something?
Right.
When you go to an event and you say, I share your heart on this issue, this thing that I want to change in the world, there's a connection that's made that's incredible. Now, can some business come out of that? Absolutely. And I'll just give the quickest example. I love Tim Ferriss. I'd like to meet Tim someday, but he's pretty successful. And if you try to get to Tim through his gatekeepers or whatever process with a business idea, probably not going to happen because Tim has made his money and now he's interested in expanding psychedelics for use in treating people with PTSD and all kinds of things like that. So I have an interest in those things as well. We started nonprofits that are advancing that cause. That's where I'm going to meet Tim Ferriss. If I go to an event that has to do with advancing those treatment modalities and I say, hey, I've got this model that we just got through as a nonprofit. What do you think of this? All the guards are going to be down and the connection is going to be made at the heart level. And from there, you're going to get a sit down and a coffee in a way that you just never could otherwise with people, Warren Buffett, you think of, Sir Richard Branson, all kinds of amazing people whose life purpose, once they've made it, is to, or even before they've made it, while they're making it, people want to change the world and they start that process much earlier than they used to alongside of their business.
I agree. I definitely see that people are wanting to start that a lot earlier. And even, today's generation, I even look at, the teenagers that are around me, they all just have such a passion for like, okay, we have to change the world now because you guys have screwed up our world. We need to get
Right,
involved
right.
and we need to do things to make a difference. Please help us. Thanks a lot for what you did. So I think we're going to see a big movement with our new upcoming young adults saying, wow, they may want to jump into this space right away and not wait till they're in their 60s and say, now I'll start a nonprofit. I think you're going to see a whole new wave. And taking that the next step then. So let's say, those watching right now and they've piqued an interest and like, okay, so you set up my paperwork. I know there's so much more to that. Walk us through what your company literally is like. I feel like it's just this giant nonprofit hug. Walk through what you guys do and what a big deal that is to really help entrepreneurs start their nonprofit in a real way to success.
Sure. The difference between, there are certain things that need to be done, whether you're a little league team or a local PTA or somebody who wants to go out and solve world hunger or provide clean water all over the world. Either way, there's some basic things that need to happen. And so that's part of our package and our process either way. And we have a very simple 3-step process where we speak to our customers in English. We translate all of the government speak, IRS, state level, et cetera, into English. We gather that information in as minimally painful a method as possible. And people often do all of their nonprofit work with us for smaller nonprofits, especially in 20 minutes. And then we take the burden and we go through all of the processes from there. So that's one way that we do it, is kind of translating what is really kind of like Chinese to a lot of people with the bureaucratic processes, and walk you through that step so that you get the letter from the IRS with your approval, which is so exciting when we have a little party every time we hear that from our customers. Yeah. But there are all these little steps in between that that need to happen to get that result. The second thing is people need a 101 level at least of how to manage their nonprofit. With most services out there, they might file paperwork, maybe correctly, maybe not, but we provide a customer hub where you can learn how to run a board meeting in 30 minutes instead of 3 hours, which is the national average, and look like a pro, even if you've never run a board meeting. Like that comes with our nonprofit package. But as you move up to more the organizations that really want to grow and scale, we provide more in-depth coaching on how to operationalize, how to fundraise. We have a program to raise $100,000 to $1 million.
Wow!
In 2021, and it's under $2,000. So we try to make these things as accessible as possible for people, according to the level that they want to operate. And of course, we have big, full boat packages where we're writing grants. We are actualizing that nonprofit at a much higher level so that people can go from 0 to $1 million very, very quickly. So we really want to tailor things to the needs of our customers.
That is really, really incredible. I mean, for me personally, I was like, sign me up. I want to take mine to the next level. It's time. And it's so exciting to know what you're doing for these clients. And sorry if you hear a honking in the background, it just happened. But the fact that you really are empowering them, you're not just saying, here, I'm dumping you off, now your paperwork's done. You're there to support them all the way through for as much as they want to, for as long as they want to, right?
Absolutely. We also have programs that can file the annual renewals and things like that to keep your nonprofit in good standing. Because like in 2011, I believe it was 275,000 nonprofits were not aware that the IRS was now pretty serious about an annual filing that's due. It's kind of like a tax return, and their nonprofit status was revoked. So of course, that's painful, right? People put their hearts and their hopes and dreams in changing something that usually comes from somewhere deep in their heart. They had an experience or trauma as a child, or they saw someone else go through things. And so they really invest in this thing. And to see a simple filing cause that to be, revoked and have to go through all the process of restarting and everything is very tough. Ouch. So we really try to help people have as turnkey a path as possible to stay in the zone of their genius, right? How to reach people, connect with people, raise the resources they need, and really make the changes, enact the mission.
It's a really incredible story, Christian, with you starting as a child, knowing that your sister needed those resources. Your family needed resources of people that said, hey, we're going to start a nonprofit to make sure that these families have their needs met. And then you took that, and to be involved in that process at the beginning where you found out, wait a minute, why would it take a year to do this? Hold on. And I love your entrepreneur and your business mind that said, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm going to dial 20 extensions till I figured this out. Then the light went on and said, wait a minute, if I can do this for one, we can do this for many. And here you are doing this for many over and over and over and over again. What do you love the most? I want to hear what the most about what you do, all the foundations you've already set up and what's ahead. How is this for you personally?
It's hard not to get involved in so many different causes, and so many of our, customers, or like so many people are either start out as a customer and become a friend, or, start out as a friend. And one of the best stories, one of the best organizations that I've been involved with, and have even served on the board, is the Foundlings. My friend Sammy Taggett, also known as Shoebox Moses. He was found in a shoebox in a dumpster as a newborn, a crying newborn in the Philippines, in the Manila area. And somebody, rescued him, brought him to an orphanage, eventually adopted over to the US. And now Sammy's kind of a celebrity DJ for everybody from Richard Branson to like tons of entrepreneurs that you've ever heard of, who grow tribes of people who are doing impact businesses or impact social ventures. And I met Sammy at an event, and he was doing some media and stuff. And as soon as we met, it was like best friends. And he told me what he was doing. I was like, that is such an incredible story. The Foundlings that he was trying to start for 3 years when we met is designed to bring resources and entrepreneurial skills and training back to those orphanages where he came from. And I was like, that's just such a powerful idea. And to see this guy who's, a busy business owner trying to grow and learn and do all the things that he wants to do, be stopped by these obstacles I saw, and then to be able to help him get up and running, and then see the actual benefit of him going back and providing, these iPads and training and everything, giving these kids some hope and some connection, like, hey, he's one of us, is just incredible. I love that story.
That is so awesome. I think the timing for you coming on and talking about this and bringing more awareness that you guys are here. Instant Nonprofit is here. A lot of people, got hit hard in 2020. We know that. Now, a lot of people sat down and realized, wait a minute, where are those things I wish I had done? Gosh, I've always wanted to give back more. How can I help more people? This is such an incredible opportunity. If you've even thought about, hey, I know people in my community that need help because of what has even taken place with COVID. I want to start a nonprofit that's going to help find resources. All you have to do is reach out to Christian, reach out to his team, Instant Nonprofit, and find out how simple it is to say, please help me. I'm going to take one of these little packages. We're going to get it started, and we're going to get this off the ground, because there's no reason to wait. They've got this, and you're not going to wait the year or two to get approved. You're going to be able to get up and going in such a quick amount of time. And I could not recommend it more. They are absolutely the best. And I'm very personally thankful that I know Christian and his team, but I've seen firsthand the difference it's making in lives. So if they call, they can call the number that we've got below, and your team member can answer any questions. You guys do consultations, right?
Absolutely. If they call, we'll figure out who they should best speak with, and set up. We can book a call. We can send free resources. We have a great boot camp that's like $7 if you sign up on our website, opt into you get some information. We have a free email boot camp. We have a boot camp that's all video based that we've discounted to $7 for people who stop by our website. So that is all of the things. It tells you all of the things you need to do to be able to start. And then we can take it from there. And, people are very generous. And so many people have lost their jobs, or they're stuck at home, and they're wondering, what's the next chapter bring of their lives or of work. And there are literally $4.3 trillion in nonprofit assets in the US. about 1 out of 8 jobs in the US is a nonprofit job. And there are so many billions, $240 billion a year given by individuals and corporations every year. You can tap that by starting just with your local, your friends and family, raise the money to get a nonprofit going, and then you can get the help that you need going forward and literally create a whole new career for yourself that is so much more fulfilling than it might be in a cubicle or in a job where you've been for a while. So we're seeing some of that kind of come out of COVID.
That's awesome.
So I don't want to put say there's a silver lining to everything, but there is a way.
But there's opportunity.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
opportunity to create silver linings. There's opportunity to still give back in the midst of pain and hurt and suffering and different changes in this world. We can still find ways to persevere and go through and say, how can I make a difference? And you have the perfect place for people to literally plug in and say, wow, I can make a difference without even worrying about it. It's so much easier than you think. I recommend everybody at least go on, get the $7 boot camp, call, get some information and find out what that would look like. Even if it's not for you, you probably have a friend or a loved one or a neighbor or a colleague that says they've always wanted to do this. This is the perfect company to do it. And Christian, I'm going to have you back on again soon too, because I want to talk about some of the misconceptions of nonprofit. Let's talk about some of the tax benefits of nonprofit and get into some more hyper-specific target conversations if you're up to doing that in the next weeks.
I would love to do that. I was just on a real estate podcast about how to use a nonprofit to do so much good and also, just elevate what you're doing in business in a way that's really positive and win-win.
It's powerful stuff. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was great to be here, and I can't wait to do it again.